Week 13 then, Barclays Premier League, and this was the early kick-off on Saturday. West Ham at home to Spurs at the London Stadium. Of course, there was a lot of euphoria surrounding the return of Jose Mourinho, the new coach of Spurs following Pochettino's sacking in the week. And so there was a lot of interest, to say the least. Team news. Jose rang a few changes. He had Dyer and Mora in from the start. Ericsson on the bench. And for West Ham, Obono and Yarmolenko were back in. 7 games without a win for West Ham. Their form's been pretty dire. And Spurs, their form on the road has been pretty poor as well. Anyway, into the action, 3 minutes, and a nice move by Ali, who fed Kane into the box. His shot whistled into the corner of the net, but it was ruled offside. Although this laid down a marker as to how the game would unfold in the first half. Spurs were quick to sort of take control, really. Another free kick, dangerously for the Hammers, and Kane had a chance, but his header went wide. He was waved offside, but another warning. 17 minutes, first purposeful attack for West Ham, but a stiff challenge in the box by the Spurs defender, and the ball went away for a goal kick. 19 minutes, a snapshot from Son on the left, and he worked the goalkeeper, Roberto, who pushed it wide. Good save, really, and Son became more and more a threat down that left-hand side. 25 minutes, though, Noble put Anderson through, and he hesitated. He had 2 men in support, but his pass just went behind Haller, and it was a good opportunity lost for the Hammers, and they didn't have many more in the half. 32 minutes, a nice back-up play by Spurs again. Final ball to Son, and it went wide for a corner, away for a corner. And then on 35 minutes, another half chance, but then quickly Spurs on the attack again, and this time it went to Son on the edge of the box. He created a yard of space. It was a delightful pass by Dele Alli, who was looking more and more like the Ali of old. Anyway, Son on the left side, he created a yard of space, and he hit it with his left foot wide of Roberto, and it was 1-0 for the Hammers. Mourinho delighted on the touchline. 37 minutes, Dele Alli drive on the edge of the box just went wide, and he was increasingly causing problems for the Hammers, who looked somewhat forlorn and definitely second best. And a late challenge by Fredericks on Son looked a little dubious. The VAR check resulted in just a yellow, and then on 42 minutes, West Ham dispossessed in midfield. The ball came out to the left. Dele Alli miraculously kept it in play on the touchline, steered the ball to Son, who raced down the left, and his pinpoint cross found Mora rushing in, and Mora stuck the ball home from about 4 yards. And Spurs were in dreamland. It was 2-0 now to them, and it really was looking good for Mourinho. Just before the break, Roberto foiled a Sanchez header, which could have made it 3-0. But anyway, we arrived at the break, and Mourinho left early, such was his confidence, and Spurs leading by 2-0. Into the second half then, and Pellegrini rang a change, so Antonio came on for Anderson, who had been completely ineffective. But things didn't really alter that much. 48 minutes, sharp counter-attack, and Son rolled the ball to Mora, and he managed to scuff his shot wide with just Roberto to beat. A minute later, Kane headed in from a perfect cross from the right, Oriel's cross was so pinpoint, and Kane's header into the ground and up into the net, and it was in comfort zone now, 3-0 to Mourinho's Spurs. 60 minutes, a rare shot from Antonio, who was looking a trifle more dangerous than anything in the first half, but Casanegra dealt with it comfortably. Douillon managed to get in a desperate challenge to thwart the rampaging Kane as he was in on goal again on 61 minutes. But then 69 minutes, a free kick to West Ham, 30 yards out, but Cresswell's shot only managed to hit Kane in the face. 4 minutes later, a little bit of Hammer's possession led to a block shot. The ball came to Noble, who fed Antonio, and he created a yard, and his strike hit the corner, and West Ham had pulled back to 3-1. Could the comeback be on, we all asked? Well, Jose rang the changes at that point, Ericsson coming on, Sissoko and Rose, but they really looked relatively comfortable, although the Hammers were on the offensive more. Spurs looking a bit lackadaisical, I might add. 89 minutes, Rice looking threatening in from a corner, and his header went in off Haller, but it was ruled offside. Good response from the Hammers, and then it was all a little bit too little too late. And then on the final minute of added time, minute 69, the ball broke from Obona, and he managed to get his head to a Snodgrass cross from a corner, and it hit the back of the net, and amazingly we were back to 3-2. The final whistle followed, however, and Mourinho didn't look none too happy when he left the field after a 3-0 comfortable win had turned into a bit of a desperate last minute. Anyway, final score at London Stadium was West Ham 2, Spurs 3. So, to the Amex, a very, very wet Amex. Brighton at home to Leicester. Brighton, they were without Dunk, he was suspended. Moy was back though, but for Leicester, unchanged. Such a strong side Rodgers has got these days. All came back from the international break unscathed. And we were only a minute in, and a dangerous cross from Maddison, and Perez's header at the far post, very tight angle, but he managed to hit that upright, a scare for Brighton. 8 minutes, Vardy header from a Chilwell free kick out on the left touchline, and again Ryan tipped it over. Moy made a desperate clearance ahead of Perez, who would have certainly have scored if it had got to him. So Leicester well on top. Maddison again showing his defensive prowess. And then on 17 minutes, Leicester definitely running the show, but Brighton showing their resolute touch at the back. 26 minutes then, and a purposeful run by Brighton, escaping from being penned in, led to a corner, and Moy's effort was cleared by Chilwell. On 28 minutes then, Perez sets up Barnes on the edge of the box, and his effort went a fraction wide. And then 4 minutes later, great chasing by Vardy this time, and he pulls it back from the byline, and Barnes turned, and his shot was just over and a little wide. Brighton were coming more into the game now as we approached half-time. Leicester becoming a little bit more scrappy. The conditions, I think, playing a part. 40 minutes. Duffy from three yards out managed to head over. It was a really good chance for the Seagulls. And then 43 minutes, Maddison swept forward, drew a foul, and then from 30 yards out, he hit the wall. Good defending though. And right on half time, Vardy again testing Ryan. He managed to get to the through ball, but he clipped it just wide. So it was goalless at the break. So to the second half then, and Morphy has his first chance, 48 minutes, but Saturdqay collided with him and no penalty was the decision. And then Brighton, looking brighter as each minute passed, started to ask a few questions, and Leicester had gone a little bit off the boil. On the hour then, a break by Vardy though, and but his layoff to Perez, but got stuck in Perez's feet, and so the chance went away. And then 63 minute, again a swift counter attack. This time Vardy collects and he burns the Brighton defender from inside their own half. Far too pacey, and he lays it off to Perez, who is just onside, who scoops it wide of Ryan, and we're up 1-0 then to the Foxes. 65 minutes, another break, this time Chilwell, who ran virtually 50 yards, and he set up Vardy, who created space, got one-on-one with Ryan, but Ryan was strong. Then on 70 minutes, Vardy again, quick set up to Maddison, but Maddison was too slow, and the chance went away. Ryan forced him wide. 72 minutes, a chance for the Seagulls, but Mopé was put through and his shot ricocheted wide of Saturdqay. And it was end-to-end stuff at this stage. 73 minutes, a Barnes break, but again his shot went just wide. And then we got to the substitutes, and on came Gray for Leicester. Webster managed to then immediately stand on his foot inside the box, and Dean, the ref, awarded a penalty. It was confirmed by VAR, and this was minute 79, and Vardy stepped up, but his shot was well saved by Ryan. But the follow-up, Maddison, alert, followed up and headed the ball that Ryan had punched away into the net for 2-0, or so we thought. But when VAR looked at it, they decided that Maddison had encroached, but also a Brighton defender had encroached. So Vardy had to retake the spot, and this time he converted with aplomb, and Brighton were now down and out. Leicester looking comfortable, 2-0 up, and they strolled really to the finish after that. It took the stuffing out of Brighton. Chilwell had a late drive which could have made it 3, but Ryan, who'd been solid throughout, averted the third. But at the final whistle, on a very wet Amex, Leicester had deserved their win. The final score at the Amex then, Brighton 0, Leicester 2.